Hey guys, how's it going? Michael Troy here. Today we're looking at Batman the Cult, the amazing series from Jim Starlin and Bernie Wrightson from 1988. Very cool series. Can't wait to show it to you. So subscribe to my channel, hit like. I'm going to cue the intro and I'll be right back.
FitzTroytv. Comic book art critiques. Snark, pizza, and sarcastic ways. Levels and geeky gaze. Aliens, comics, rule the day. Hurry up and turn that page. Michael Fitz Troy.
Alright, so here we go. This is so amazing. I can remember being so super excited and stoked when this first came out, 1988. My first introduction to Bernie Wrightson was probably through Creepshow and Cycle of the Werewolf by Stephen King. He was smart enough to have Bernie Wrightson, the horror master, illustrate some of his books, and I was an instant fan, and my brother's a huge fan. He probably introduced me to Bernie. And so when DC released this series, Batman the Cult, 4-issue prestige format is what they called them back in the day. The higher end comic books, they were more expensive and bigger. They would have been like 48 pages in length, probably, like the smallest one. And only $3.50. Can you imagine that? Like, you can't even get a regular comic book for under $3.50 or under $4 these days. And these were only $3.50. But I guess everything changes like that. Anyway, these were so cool. I have always loved these prestige format miniseries because you knew it was going to be like top tier talent on like high profile projects. So it doesn't get much better than Jim Starlin and Bernie Wrightson working together. And you don't really associate, Bernie Wrightson with superhero comic books, although he also did The Weird with Jim Starlin, which was even more superhero-y than The Cult is. And I'm actually going to cover that at some point. But we're going to start here today with The Cult. Book 1, Ordeal. I love that each chapter has a different name for the chapter. Very cool cover. I mean, it's weird how Batman's kind of not the central focus, but I mean, you can totally tell it's Batman, and this is a Batman cover. And what a great cover it is, too. Wrightson is doing painted covers and pen and ink interiors with color art by Bill Ray. And the book design is just cool. I love it. It's such a great logo. Todd Klein, letterer. Very famous letterer. One of the great letterers. I feel like he did ink or letter some Titans. Maybe the new Baxter format book that when they launched that, I think that might have been lettered by Todd Klein. But I've always loved his lettering. This is so great. Same typical Wrightson. We're getting such moodiness already. This art, it just looks fantastic. I mean, nobody does it better than Wrightson as far as creating such mood with such rich, luscious blacks and just amazing. I mean, I don't have to sell anybody on Bernie Wrightson, but his storytelling is so cool and creepy. I wonder what the impetus of him working with Jim Starlin was, but if this isn't the only time they would work together. So they must have had some sort of friendship and relationship or working history in the past. I'm not overly familiar with Wrightson's comic book history. I mean, of course, co-created Swamp Thing with Len Wein and, The Horror Master. My favorite work of Bernie Wrightson has to be his Frankenstein adaptation, hands down. I mean, I lost my mind when I saw that. As a matter of fact, I kind of remember, it seems like, because this is a little more sparse style than he obviously used on one of his life works, Frankenstein, which is like uber detailed. And I remember thinking that this wasn't as detailed as that. But it is so cool. I mean, that's such great storytelling. I love the multiple panels up here just for effect. Such a great moody looking book. the Wrightson art alone is just totally worth it. And it's, you know, sort of appropriate. Like, there's this cult leader. They've obviously kidnapped Batman, blah, blah, whatever. We're just here, as usual, to look at the art. No spoiling the story. Bill Ray did an amazing job on colors. I love this. What a great shot of Batman in, like, the sewers. That's exactly the perfect setting for Batman in the sewer. I mean, he is a creature of the night and definitely fits in there so well. And I'm really loving this color art. I mean, this was exciting at the time because you had your regular standard newsstand comic books, and then you had your, like, elevated, like, with better coloring, better printing, better paper. And now it's pretty much par for the course as far as this format is concerned. And this would more or less be a standard comic as far as, like, the slick white paper and the, you know, the coloring that isn't just flat coloring, more rendered. Still not computer colored at this point. This is only 1988 after all, but still beautiful colors nonetheless. I mean, there's plenty of great color jobs out there that are not computer coloring. I mean, it's obviously a great tool, and there's some beautifully computer colored comic books out there, but they were able to pull it off back in the day without Procreate and Photoshop too. So take that. I love it. I feel like Frank Miller definitely set the stage for, like, the multiple, like, panels with the TV interviews or the news anchors sort of helping to supply some of the story, and people just ran with it. Todd McFarlane used it heavily in the beginning of Spawn, and it's such a hallmark of comics anymore. I think we definitely have Frank Miller to thank for that. I just love this coloring. This is so cool. It's funny because Bill Ray is, like, I think a lot of comic book colorists are, like, really great artists, but when, you know, before they had better printing and stuff, they were sort of limited to just, you know, certain colors and certain combinations and things. So it's nice to see an established color artist really get to cut loose and show their stuff and flex their artistic muscles on a project like this. Really beautiful. I haven't looked at this in so long, and I feel like it's 100 times better than I even remember. Like, it is so cool. I love that very phallic looking totem statue there. That's not why I love it, by the way. Very cool. I always love comic books or comic book artists within comic books. It's always fun to see how a comic book artist would draw somebody else's sketchbook or something like that. I mean, obviously it's very Wrightson, but so cool at the same time. End of book 1. Book 2, Capture. And the cover couldn't be more obvious, right? He's clearly captured. Another great painted cover. I love it how, once again, Batman isn't totally the focus. That's some good design there. I like that. And a little bit from the book. Hats off to the designer. Anyway, great covers. Still, once again, it's funny because on all 4 covers, the last one we're going to get a nice headshot of Batman, but you're just going to have to wait till the end for that. Jim Starlin, writer, Bernie Wrightson, illustrator, Bill Ray, color artist, and John Costanza, letterer. Interesting that we switched letterers on book 2. I wonder why that happened, if he got too busy or what the deal was. Chances are with a prestige format book like this, I'm not sure. It's funny because I feel like Bernie Wrightson has a huge output, and I'm not sure if he ever fell victim to, like, deadlines or anything like that. Boy, this is cool. This is very different for Wrightson at the time. I'm wondering how how he felt about the color art on this, because it's very cool, but it seems a little avant-garde for Wrightson. He seems like definitely more traditional when he's coloring himself, and this is definitely very stylistic in a lot of ways, but I really like it. I mean, these deep reds are so cool. This is such a great effect. I love like the darker red juxtaposed with the red from the blood spatter all over the place. And this is great perspective. And it's so funny for such a dark, moody artist. You know, he's using his negative space and spotting and blacks like excellently here. Like you would think that a panel like this would just be dripping with black and you don't really see shadows drawn in under the figures. I love the composition so much. That is so amazing. Wrightson is the master. This is awesome. I love this kind of effect. That is so cool. It was so cool they had to use it on the back of the book. But I love also, I feel like this was at a time where artists were definitely keeping, or I should say, this is a time where they're branching out a little bit more and you're getting different interpretations of characters. Whereas, you know, normally you'd have to fall within the house style. Like Todd McFarlane comes to mind. Like what he did with Batman's cape is pretty much what you see in Spawn's cape. And the longer pointed ears, I feel like that's an artistic choice there. I feel like a lot of ways DC was always a little more open to that kind of thing and a little more loose in its interpretation. I feel like Marvel seemed a little more on point with their model sheets as far as the way their characters looked. And once again, Todd McFarlane kind of broke the mold on Spider-Man, and it was so popular that, you know, people like Eric Larson and anyone else after him sort of followed suit and did more stylistic, artistic interpretations of characters, which I think is amazing, and I love it. I love to be able to look at, you know, a character like Batman and say, you know, I love Wrightson's Batman, or I love Nolan's Batman, or I love Miller's Batman, or Lee's Batman, or, you know what I mean? They're all so distinct and great on their own. Michael Golden does a great Batman, of course. He does a great everything. This is so cool. I'm just loving it. The artistry that is just going in here is just so beautiful. Pretty amazing. I'm so glad that they got, like, so weird. Just such a, I love this crowd shot and the silhouettes and the shadows and the lighting. I mean, this is just Wrightson, just at his finest, always. I feel like the buzz about this book is like, the story's just so-so. I remember really liking it, but I haven't read it in super long. But, of course, with comics, I hate to say, because I do love the total package, but it generally is all about the art for me. I was finally happy to see Robin in there, because I am a huge Robin fan. This is so cool. That's such a great... I feel like... Where do we see this again? Oh, there we go. Yes, I love that. I mean, that's just so cool. What a great use of negative space there. Like, just all these rats just, like, crawling around on these poles above him and stuff, and he's in the water lit up by whatever bat light he must have in his utility belt. Right? So cool. They're totally pulling a John Byrne and getting paid for doing multiple black panels. But they advance the story. It's comic book storytelling, guys. And if you got a page like this, I mean, Robin going over a waterfall with a bunch of rats. How cool is that? Oh my God, that is so amazing. I love that. And then the blackness. It does have like such a creepy effect, especially, and then he turns on his light or flare or whatever the hell it is. And then you just see all this Wrightson gore, and it's just so creepy. I feel like he and Barry Windsor Smith are definitely cut from the same cloth. And I love, like, just the gorgeous inks and just, like, this kind of stuff. Like, that is, like, this shows why inkers are just so amazing. And I love ink art. And hats off to traditional inkers who just really do it well. And I hope that there's always a love and appreciation for inked comic book art. as we switch to digital. I love that. That is so beautiful. That is amazing. Book 2. Book 3. After capture, we have escape. Batman the Cult, Jim Starlin, Bernie Wrightson, Bill Ray. John Costanza continues as the letterer. Escape. It's funny, I feel like, unless I'm wrong, I do feel like Wrightson was opening his style up a little more. I mean, to do a 4-part, 48-page prestige comic book is like nothing to sneeze at, especially if you're doing pencils and inks. And you've got all this lush detail in there that is so amazing. I just love it. Did Robin oh my gosh, so we got that meme of Batman slapping Robin, and over and over and over again. You know, we've all seen it. I cannot believe we now have a panel of Robin slapping Batman saying settle down. That is priceless and classic, and I need to fish that out and spread that like wildfire all over the internet. So next time in the next few days when you see that all over the place, I want you to know that I'm responsible for that. What great faces in here. I love this. Coming back to the TV panels. It's so funny because, I mean, TVs aren't really shaped like that anymore, are they? No. Of course not. They're flat screens. It's weird how it's such a hallmark. I mean, will that always be, you know, used as a TV shape? I don't know. Probably not. Things are cyclical after all. I do like the photostat storytelling. I mean, until someone like Brian Michael Bendis comes along and uses it ad nauseum to like, just, not my favorite effect with him. I don't know. I'm very hit or miss with him as a writer. I mean, he's done a lot of great stuff that I love, but I think he's sort of, I don't know, outwritten himself or something in a way. Like, just cheesy and typical. Everything you read. Like, everything you read by him now is just so expected. Gross and gory and amazing and Wrightson. This cult leader bathing in the blood as it's draining from these guys hanging upside down. This is like, hey, Ed Piskor, have you guys covered Batman the Cult yet? Because this would be good inspiration for a Red Room right there. Creepy. In these catacombs. I just love the way this was colored. It's really good. Once again, props to Bill Ray for that. I would love to see this in like a artist edition, like black and white to show off. I wonder if it's out there. It might be. Who knows? They should, you know, DC doesn't do a lot of the IDW artist editions for some reason. They did do some, but I guess they're no longer interested in doing them. And as I've said before, that would be fine if they were doing their own artist editions. And I feel they should with like all this stuff. I mean, it's like printing money. It's like you just have to, all you have to do is track down the original art and scan it. That should be easy, right? This is so cool. I love that. This is just like, I don't know. These 2 pages here have so much going on for them artistically. It's like just that beautiful background behind Batman and just his silhouette. Like, that is so cool and menacing, and I just love it. And, like, the spotting of blacks and the negative space here. I mean, Wrightson truly is a master, and this is so great here with these buildings lit up, and the street looks obviously, like, rain-slicked, like it always does in movies and TV at nighttime. So beautiful. I love this book. This is amazing. I'm so glad I came across this. Is that Ronald Reagan? No. If so, it's a shoddy Ronald Reagan at that, right? I don't know. I guess I was expecting them to show up since he has such a great part in The Dark Knight Returns. All right. One more book. Very cool. I love these end papers with the black and white art. That is so cool. that is making me want a noir edition, like, so bad. Okay, so this is interesting. Batman the Cult, Part 4, Combat. And to show that it's combat, he's holding a gun. And that is so interesting because Batman's supposed to be anti-gun. But it's not the first time we've seen Batman with a gun. Does he not use them in the movies as well? I don't know. His parents were killed with a gun, so he swore off guns. Except for when it's convenient. Oh my God, thank you, Lord. You are giving us a treat here with this Wrightson zombies. How amazing is that? Batman and Wrightson zombies. That is so cool. Of course, it is a dream of Batman's dead parents, but I will take it. That is so cool. Bernie Wrightson, definitely, they broke the mold on that one. I mean, there's definitely tons of artists who work in this gorgeous pen and ink style, but there was just something so special and great about Bernie Wrightson that really just captured the imagination. I'm loving this. I think it is so different from a lot of his other stuff, but I think it is equally as gorgeous and just amazing. 15 panels here on this page. I'm always impressed by multiple page panels. Unless I have to draw them myself. Then I'm like, screw that noise. I would never make myself draw 15 panels on one page. Maybe I should. Maybe it's a good exercise. This is a great page here. Oh my God, that is so cool. Is there nothing this man can't draw? That is like so sci-fi and so cool. I love that. Wow. Oh my God, talk about money shots. That is amazing right there. This could easily come out of like Zack Snyder's version of Batman for sure. Don't y'all think? I don't know. I love that. Look at how muscular Batman's legs are. Jesus Christos. That is stunning. What a beautiful page. The man is a legend for a reason, people. If you guys have never seen this or don't have it or haven't read it in a long time, you need to bust it out like right now because of panels like this. How cool is that? And Batman behind the wheel. I mean, that is freaking amazing. I love this. This is the gift that keeps giving. What a gorgeous book. I feel like it's not even talked about that much. I never see it come up, but it needs to be. Hopefully, you guys will run to eBay after you watch this if you don't have it, or you will run to your long boxes and fish it out, because I know I'm so excited to be looking at this again. And just to hold it and smell it. It smells like an old comic book, even though it looks pretty pristine. Thanks for being in storage for so long. Wow. Just a cool-ass book. Batman the Cult. Love this book. This is so amazing. What a great, great book by two major legends. Jim Starlin, ironically enough, Bernie Wrightson, Bill Ray, Todd Klein, John Costanza, all comic legends in their own right. So, that was amazing. You guys definitely need to check out Batman the Cult if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, hit like, share my content, and I'll bring you some more later. All right, thanks guys.